Major League. Adding fog with the FOGDOG, straight to the top with the pace drop. Pace too hot, you can't keep up when he heats up and takes the lead. Now all you see is Drake University. So it's time to subscribe for the best alive and go stride for stride with the Batman pride. It's adding fog, coming at you with the top dog exclusive. It's adding fog exclusive. Adding fog, FOGDOG. Subscribe now for the top dog.
Alright, we're in Norway, Bergen, Norway, 3K coming up. Honestly, it's actually post-race right now. Did a little pre-meet at a different track. It was really nice, but honestly just didn't really get around to filming much before the race, but thought I'd come on post-race and do a little pre-race intro. So really solid field, great 3K race coming up. Kind of goals going into it, I wanted to really, give it a good crack, push for the win, and try and run fast. So solid field. Pace was aiming for 7:40, so it was going to be going out pretty hot. And early on, I wanted to, just tuck in and try and work my way up. So simple as that. 3K race coming up. First 3K since the indoor season. Obviously, I've been kind of running the 1500 mile during the outdoor season so far. So kind of nice to get back into 3K, something a little bit longer. Test the fitness, see where it's at. And then after this 3K today, you're about to witness 1500 in 4 days from now. So yeah, not much else to say. 3K coming up. Alright, so because this video has taken a massively long time to come out, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of talk through the race while it plays out, just to kind of add a little bit more to the video. So I'm not going to show the full thing, but I'll kind of show most of the highlights. Going through the start list here, Narve Gille Nordas from Norway. He was probably the favourite going in. For anyone who doesn't know, he's since this race run 3:29 for the 1500. Jude Thomas was in there, Magnus Tovmeyer, that was me as well, Per Svela, who trains with Jakob, and then third from the inside there, that's Callum Davies, who I grew up racing in Australia, had many great battles with him. Also in there, fourth from the left of screen, Emil Danielsson. He's a Swedish kind of 1500 5K guy. He was one of the stronger ones going into this race, and kind of since this race he's really excelled. I'm definitely missing quite a few people. There's plenty more people in there who probably deserve a shout out, including Isaac Kameli, who is third in the race at this point, 2 in front of me. Yeah, so a really strong field. This 3K, the plan was, the pacing plan, it was meant to go out at 7:40 pace, so it was going to be 2:33 through 1K, I think about 5:06 at 2K, and then kind of whatever is left to try and run 7:40, and it's Evans Kipchumba, who's the athlete out the front. He was the pacemaker, and then Callum Davies tucked in right behind him. So early on, we're about 61, 62 through the 400. I'm kind of tucked in, kind of 5 or 6 back, right on the rail, behind 3:29, 1500 guy Nordas, who's actually the one being interviewed there as well. At the time of this race, he was a 3:34 1500 runner. So he was definitely the fastest man in the field going into it. I think his PB for 3K was 7:41. But there were plenty of other people in there who would challenge, and I knew it was a really strong field. So the goal going in was kind of put myself up there and try and be as close as I could to the front, try and put myself in a position to win the race, and that's kind of been the mindset throughout this whole year. It slowed a little bit this second lap. I was about 2:07 through 800, but you know, not a bad start. And interestingly, Callum Davies, who is right there in behind the pacemaker, tucked in behind him, just about touching his heels there. He doesn't usually seem to want to front run, so I was kind of surprised to see him right up there at the very start of the race. Like, we 100 in, he kind of found himself right in the lead, and I think from there he kind of just thought he had to go with it and try and run away with it. So 2:37 high through the K. I was about 2:39 just because I'm about a second back from the leaders there. So it was much slower than planned, but I didn't really mind that, and to be honest, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to the time on the clock. I was kind of just trying to stay in a decent spot and kind of work my way up through the field throughout the race, but it definitely picked up here. So we're coming up to 1200, and yeah, I think we were kind of yo-yoing a little bit, so it slowed in that second lap, but I think we've then picked it up there. So my whole process throughout this race was just kind of trying to stay in a good spot and trying to stay focused and switched on, so that, you know, I wasn't going to be making any silly moves, and I wasn't going to have people kind of coming around the outside of me and boxing me in or anything like that. And it was also quick enough, even though it wasn't as quick as planned, it was also quick enough where you kind of didn't really have to worry about people jostling and moving around, just because it's single file and everyone's pretty happy with the pace. Alright, we've basically skipped that lap. Not a whole lot happened, although I kind of look like I've been swamped there. We've got Gert Ingebrigtsen being interviewed, the legend. If you haven't seen Team Ingebrigtsen, go and check it out. He's a very interesting man. But we've come up to 3 laps to go. I've kind of gone backwards slightly. I think the pace slowed a little bit there, just in that lap. But kind of still in a fine position, and I was feeling okay. Like, the thing with 3Ks is I always find it feels really kind of uncomfortably close to 1500 pace. Even though it isn't close to 1500 pace, it kind of feels quick enough where at the start, you know, running 3K at that pace feels quite daunting, and you just know from the start it's going to hurt quite early on, and you're just going to have to deal with that and get through it. So we've gone through 2K there. We're coming up to 2 laps to go, and the race is really kind of getting going here. So I'm kind of trying to, you know, as usual, stay switched on and watch the moves, and if any gaps open up, trying to kind of cover them. I've come around the outside of Callum Davies here, who was the early leader, and we've gone through there in 5:49 with 2 laps to go. So definitely slower than initially planned, but you know, as I was saying before, it's kind of the race that matters. And I'm moving around into 4th there, kind of just trying to keep my eyes on the leaders, and keep myself in a spot where I'm able to kind of win the race at any point. So coming up to 600 to go here, kind of 6:18, 6:19 on the clock, and I think it had slowed slightly again, and I knew that I felt decent enough to kind of make a push for the lead. But over the last couple of years, I've kind of learned that when you hit the front, especially in a 3K, you probably don't want to be absolutely all out, because, you know, you'll probably get found out in the last lap. So I kind of hit the front, and I was reasonably controlled in winding up the pace. So 650 here at the bell, 650 high. I knew that, you know, with a decent close, the time could still be reasonable. I'd run 7:44 indoor on the Boston trampoline, and I was hoping to try and go close to that. You can see here the 3:29 1500 man, Nordas from Norway. He had a 3:34 PB at the time of this, but he's just come flying around the outside of me. I really couldn't respond to that. I've gone back to 4th, and I'm nearly in 5th there with 200 to go. 7:19 on the clock for me, probably 7:17, 7:18 for Nordas, and he's just so strong. He's absolutely in cruise control here. Obviously tired, but, you know, being able to make a move like that down the back straight in the last lap, he probably could run a lot faster, and that's what happened in the next week. So coming down the home straight, I'm giving it my all. I was trying to challenge for second, but at the end of the day, I was pretty happy to come through for third, got myself on the podium, and I ran 7:46.67. So my second fastest ever 3K, and it was an interesting one because of the splits. Here's Nordas going over to Mr. Ingebrigtsen, his coach. I believe he's coached by Gert. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. But yeah, I think my K splits were 2:39, 2:39, so 5:18 at 2K, and then a 2:28 close to run 7:46. So a good race. I put myself in a position to win it. Would have liked to have won it, but gave it my all and ended up third. And yeah, no complaints. Pretty happy with that. In a strong field.
Adam Fogg has got a good change of pace on him, but Narve Nadase here, striding away in the closing stages to take an easy victory here in front of a home crowd.
Utdelning for 300 meter. Vi fikk en vinner fra Norge. Med tid 36,62. Ny beste norske notering noensinne på 300 meter. Ikke nok med det, det er beste notering i Norden på 300 meter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I will tomorrow. So, okay, I will. And then. I know. Feels like it's never going.
So how was it?
Yeah, good. I'm really happy with that. Seeing the field a few days ago, kind of knew that it was going to be a really strong race. It's kind of the same way I felt about every race so far this year, basically. Obviously, during indoor, you know, the 3K, the first 3K I was in, the field was really, really strong, and kind of since then it's been like really solid fields, with maybe one or two guys who I know are really pretty good. But every race I've been in so far during outdoor, I've kind of gone into it with the mindset of this is something I should be trying to do my best to win. And yeah, I mean, to kind of cut a long story relatively short, I hit the lead with 5:50 to go. We were pretty slow early on compared to what the pace was meant to be. We'd heard it was going to be kind of 2:33 for the first K. The pace was meant to be kind of 7:40. I was 2:39. I was then 2:39 for the second K, and then it started to pick up. It was a little bit kind of fartlecky early on. Like we were pretty quick to start, and then it slowed down, and then it picked up again, kind of 3 or 4 laps in. But I was 5:18 through 2K, and I felt pretty good. Like I had a bit left in the tank, but I also at the same time kind of felt like I was working quite hard. And that's the interesting thing about 3K pace. I was saying to my coach and also to manager James Templeton, like 3K pace always feels kind of uncomfortably close to mile 1500 type pace, so you always feel like you're running quite fast. But I guess the more fit you get, you kind of just learn and your body adapts to that pace so that you can run 3K at that pace basically. And yeah, things have been going well, so I was able to kind of feel strong at 2K, and that was kind of the plan going into it. Kind of get to 2K. I was thinking for one, it was going to be a lot quicker than it was, so I was thinking people are going to be blowing up and going backwards. And I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be strong in that last K and kind of work my way up. And with that, ended up hitting the lead with 5:50 left, and I kind of wanted to wind it up, but I knew that I couldn't afford to kind of start sprinting with 500 left, because even though it's not that far, if you're hitting the wall, it can feel like a pretty long way. So yeah, kind of held the lead around the first bend of the final lap, and then got overtaken with 300 to go by a 3:34 1500 guy, and he flew past. He took me by surprise, to be honest, and then I was kind of working hard down the back straight. I was back into fourth, and with 200 to go, I was kind of thinking I've just got to close hard to be on the podium. And coming into the home straight, I was really trying to drive for the finish line, and yeah, podium finish. So third, 7:46.67, and a really solid race. I'm happy with that. It's another good step. It's close to what I ran in the first race indoor, but it's a really, really different way of running it. I think during indoor I was kind of, when I ran 7:44, I was 2:34, 2:34 and 2:35, 2:36 for the last K. I kind of was feeling the burn from going out hard, whereas today it was 2:39-ish, 2:39-ish again, and then 2:28 or thereabouts for the final K, with a 1:56-ish last 800 and a 56 close. So really happy. It's been a good couple days in Norway. Hadn't been to Norway before, but it's been a good trip. Solid day, and on to the next. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Lots more races coming up. So yeah, see you in the next one.